hate to admit it, but he's right. Oh my goodness. So there was this interview with Charleston White, and we're all aware of Charleston White and the ludicrous and outlandish stuff that he says and does. The person's asking him about Sonya Massey, and he's like, I don't even follow, right? I don't care about it. It has nothing to do with me, because he talks about how if he actually was invested in this, right? If he actually felt something about this and didn't do anything, that would make him a coward.
So I don't get involved. I don't give a damn about Sonya Massey, because ain't nobody go die behind it. Ain't nobody go die behind it, nigga. They keep killing her. They killed Tamir Rice, nigga. So how the f y'all? I'm still stuck on Tamir Rice. A 12-year-old little boy, my nigga, playing in the park by himself. So I don't want to hear from black people. They're a bunch of cowards. Do you know what we have to do as black people to look at Sonya Massey get killed, feel what we feel, and we don't do nothing? You have to tap into your coward side of your nature, black man. Just like when the white boy used to come in and f you in front of you, that's what he's doing.
He's out of line, but he's right.
And just to piggyback off of that, this also falls in line with Tyreke. So recently, you guys are aware that Tyreke was arrested and pulled up, well, not arrested, I guess detained, but pulled out of his car, and it was a whole debacle. And the same thing that happened with Sonya Massey happened with Tyreke, except Tyreke is still alive. And it boils down to, they want you gone. It's as simple as that. They want you to no longer exist. And I'm not being hyperbolic, because I used to think that when people would say that, they were just being hyperbolic. Oh, you're being, a race baiter and all of that. But then it came to the point where you had the case of Amber Geiger. You all remember that? Who she just took this man's life in cold blood. And the whole time, had nothing to do with Botham Jean. Had nothing to do with it. It was all about Amber Geiger and how we should forgive and forget, and we got to move on. We're bigger people and all that. And I realized that it had nothing to do with the crime. It had nothing to do with the criminal. It had nothing to do with compliance, right? Where they just say, just obey the law, OTL. And sure enough, we have even a more present take with, what's her name? Ashley Babbitt. That it was no longer a focus on the criminal. It was no longer a focus on the crime. It was no longer a focus on how could she have prevented her own demise. The focus then shifted to the officer. And the officer just happened to be black. And then it boils down to, well, what led to that? Because if it's not the crime and it's not the criminal, then what's the determining factor? And the determining factor in all of this, in this country, has always been race. Has always been, you are black. In Tyreke, I looked at that. And I've told you all, when it comes to Latinos, when it comes to other non-black people in this country in positions of power. You remember in LA? Hey, F that guy, he's with the blacks. Now we're in as far as Florida. Who are those individuals? They're not black. Okay, you can hear the accent off of them. Hey, what are you doing, man? Get out of the car. And you have to understand, how they view you is how other racist white people view you. Because that's how they've managed to get to where they are, is being adjacent to many of the racist white people, the lineage of evil. So they're going to treat you how they would treat you. The same thing when you get these Sambo officers. They're going to treat you how the racist whites would treat you. So if you think that your money, because a lot of these influencers and these YouTubian scholars, they'll constantly believe that they're insulated via their money. Hey, I don't have to worry about this. I'm just going to take from the community. And as long as I got money, I'm fine. As we can see, it doesn't matter what you're driving. It doesn't matter who you're with. It doesn't matter what, who you are. We saw that with Oprah. They're going to treat you exactly how Sonya Massey was treated, how Tyreke was treated, how Elijah McClain was treated, and the list goes on. And Charleston White is talking about, hey, listen, why didn't any religious groups come out? Her life is, she is no longer with us because she rebuked someone in the name of Jesus. That's what she did. All the churches and everything, silent, nothing.
You mean to tell me out of all the Muslims, all these religious organizations, homie, she was killed for calling on God. Where are these religious people at, my nigga? Nobody, no religion, every religious person in the world should be standing up defending, man, come on, homie. And ain't no police station is burnt down. Nobody has done nothing. So why y'all talking about it?
You saw when it came to Philando Castile, right? All the Second Amendment advocates, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. He wasn't legally carrying. And everyone started making excuses, not for Philando Castile, but for the officer. Everyone's making excuses now, not for Tyreke Hill, for the officer. Everyone's making excuses when it came to who? Not for Sonya Massey, but for the officer. Everyone's making excuses when it came to who? Not for the officer, but for Ashley Babbitt. Everyone's making excuses for who? Not for Botham Jean, but for who? Amber Geiger. So once you start to develop a pattern, it's like, oh, now I understand what we're dealing with. And what Charleston White says, because he was asked, what's the solution? Now, I can't play the solution, what he gives, but part of the solution is essentially an eye for an eye. I agree with that. I will never condone violence. However, I will understand civil unrest. Okay? Remember how the racist Republicans talk about, well, this wasn't violence. This was civil unrest when it came to January 6th. And the fact that white people had a January 6th before black people, that's a problem. That's something that I've talked about when it comes to post-traumatic slave syndrome, where it comes to that your pain threshold is high. That's why they think that when it comes into labor for black women in the hospitals, because this is all stemming from slavery. Our pain threshold is high. They know that we can tolerate a lot and not lift a finger. We may grabble, talk, but it takes way more than that for a finger to be lifted. As opposed with white people, Asians, Latinos, everyone else, their pain threshold is very low. They can only take so much before they crack, they pop, they do something. It's not the same thing for black people. So what Charleston White said, it's like, listen, y'all didn't do anything for Sonya Massey, right? Y'all not even, he doesn't hear any rappers talk about Mika Johnson. He laid down his life for the cause. He laid down his life for police brutality. So to bring this back, even when it comes to Islamic, extremists, that's what they call them. All right. Guess what? You remember the cartoon that they put out and they're mocking Muhammad? Okay. And guess what happened to those group of writers? Guess what happened to that company? They ran up in there and there was no more cartoons. So there's something that some races only understand. One is capital and one is physical force. That's it. So as Charleston White says, listen, if one of them takes out one of ours, then there has to be some repercussions. Once again, I'm not advocating for violence. I am advocating for civil unrest. I understand that, okay? Because that's the only thing that's going to get them to stop brutalizing us. Because if we constantly, we shall overcome, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So in some cases, what you're going to have to do is force their hand. You're going to have to force justice. And it's going to get to the point where they're getting so much backlash. There's so much turmoil. There's so much, destruction that is occurring that it is less painful for them to fix the system than it is to continue along the racist ways. That's what I heard from Charleston White. And I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Because what has happened thanks to post-traumatic slave syndrome, what has happened thanks to being in this country, being raised in this country as a black American, is that you have been brainwashed into attacking your own. And you see it every day. You'll have a black man who'll threaten my life before he'll threaten the officer that just beat him to a pulp. You'll have black men who will be ready to pop off and crash out on you before they'll be ready to crash and pop off on the white supremacists. Once everyone sees that, no respect. So Charleston White's like, I'm ashamed of being black. I don't even want to be black.
How can you watch this and not act on it? And you feel what you feel. Black man, you act on your feelings with everything else. How can you watch this woman be killed for saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, and nobody is hurt for this? So I ain't with black. That's why I'm ashamed of being black, my nigga.
Because what has happened is that you're being now labeled as a coward. No other group of people allow that to happen, but black Americans. And in the meantime, between time, we're going at it with ourselves. So where does that put us? That puts us at the bottom while everyone else is at top. That's what that does. And now we're no longer a threat, because the most violence that is occurring is against each other. So now we don't even have to worry about y'all. So I agree with Charleston White to an extent. Now, when he talks about his other stuff, I don't know. When he's just saying just anyone who's non-melanated, go ahead, open season. No, no. I don't agree with that. But I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying. Is that if you want to do this, fine, there's going to be repercussions. And the repercussions are going to be way more heavy than the crime you committed. Just so to teach you a lesson. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not I believe, look, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not, okay? We just got to ask them very nicely, please stop, all right? We just got to do that. Or if you don't believe, listen, you have all these mofos who already have records, right? You have them crashing out over the littlest things. Why don't you crash out for our empowerment? How about that? Why don't you crash out to the benefit of us? Okay? Why don't you crash up? How about that? Instead of crashing down on everyone else. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Nevertheless, if you happen to disagree, you know where to find me Friday through Sunday. There'll be a number on screen. You call in and we'll duke it out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think. Is there a solution? Will there be a solution? Will it ever happen? And subscribe. And all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing.
Nobody has done nothing. So why y'all talking about it?